shout out to Sky Bet for sponsoring today's episode.
With European fixtures and Premier League games too, now is the perfect time to go over to the Sky Bet app and check out everything they've got on offer. Whether you're eyeing a cheeky acca or building a bold one by yourself, Sky Bet have got you covered.
Acca Freeze, Build a Bet, Super Sub, and so much more.
18 plus terms and conditions apply. BeGambleAware.org.
I think we're going to start off with some of the most explosive comments that I've seen from a major player playing for one of the biggest clubs, not only in the Premier League, but in world football. Mohamed Salah coming out after the Leeds United draw to criticise the likes of Jamie Carragher, to criticise broken promises that the club made to him, and of course his manager Arne Slot. What's your initial overview from what you've heard from Mohamed Salah coming out and talking about his situation at Liverpool?
This was tough, and I've seen a lot of differing opinions. Some people think, you know what, say what you got to say. You've been a terrific servant for the club. Only last season had one of the best campaigns I've ever seen. Others are saying you've got to keep it internal. I think my worry would be, a lot of people have said, and we were just chatting off air, that he can be quite a calculated person. He doesn't speak too much, Salah, but when he does, there's a reason. I fear that this might have been something a little bit on the spot, a little bit in the moment. He's come out, he's in the mix zone, he's just come out and said quite a bit. It doesn't feel particularly calculated in the way he normally is. Does that make it right or wrong? It feels wrong. I don't know why, because I feel like a lot should be addressed behind the scenes before a certain point. But the problem is, if he has had broken promises, if Arne Slot and his relationship has broken down, and there's reasons that mainly lie with Arne Slot, and I think he's got the right to say what he's got to say.
I do. I largely agree with your take on football as a wider perspective anyway, even though you're a biased Arsenal fan. I'm a biased Manchester City fan. Ultimately, the broken promises that Mohamed Salah refers to is called a contract. That's what a promise is. Kind of, if me and you agree to a promise, legally speaking, that's called a binding contract. His contract's worth £500,000 a week. Security, the likes of which a 33-year-old has never seen before at Liverpool. I think it's almost a broken wage structure to keep him at the club. They were pondering about even letting him go because they've done that with numerous players throughout the years. The FSG model has changed to support one of the living legends of the Liverpool Football Club. And he comes out and talks about broken promises. He's been on the bench for 3 games.
No, I have to say, I agree with you more than you think I do, because my thing is, he's not the only one who's suffered this. Andy Robertson, who's also a Liverpool legend in his own right, has come out the team for Kirkes, who's been awful, and he recently won his place back a little bit. The midfield three of Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and McAllister, that was the engine room for Liverpool, has been pulled apart to accommodate Wirtz. He's looked terrible, and now they're trying to fit them all kind of in. Isak's come in, I imagine on the promise of I'm the guy. Ekitike was leading the line. Ekitike's pulled out in the form he's been in. So Salah's not the only one who's had to suffer a little bit through Liverpool trying to find their feet in what is a kind of a brand new venture and journey for this team under a brand new Slot kind of, like I said, vision for the side. But I can sympathise to a degree, because I agree with him in the sense that I don't think Salah's the problem. I don't think they're better for not having Salah in it. And I think when you have played for so many years and you have given so much to the club, I can understand why he maybe feels, you know what, I've got some things to say. I don't love it. It's not the way I'd want. If I were a Liverpool fan, it's not the way I'd want it to be addressed. Yeah. But that doesn't mean he's necessarily wrong in what he's saying, whether he's gone about it the right way.
He's absolutely... he's allowed to have the right to sit there as a living legend of football and say, I'm not happy being benched. But we have to remember, he was trusted in the first game of the season, the second game of the season. He must have started about 10, 15 games of the first 20, relentlessly played on the right, not chipping in with goals, not working back. The likes of, you think about Conor Bradley, Joe Gomez at various points, completely exposed, even Dominic Szoboszlai being one-on-one with numerous attackers because Salah wasn't working back. That's his approach to football. It's generated him a lot of goals and assists because he stays high at the pitch, but he's let his side down this season in terms of his defensive output. He hasn't been smart and he hasn't scored. If Salah doesn't score, he doesn't contribute much to the side because he doesn't work defensively. So you have to sit there and say that he's talking about these promises. It's a shambles. We have to talk about the quotes because he mentions, the big one for me is, all of a sudden, we don't have any relationship, talking about Arne Slot. What do you make of that? Because I'll just give it to you in my perspective. Arne Slot, maybe not the highest level genius coach we've ever seen in the world, but he seems like a friendly figure to me. Like, what's going on there?
That's so interesting, because it actually doesn't surprise me there's a bit of a broken relationship. But it's not just because he's been on the bench 3 times. But if you look at the way Arne Slot's communicated at times this season, I remember when Trent went to Madrid, after he'd gone, there were comments about his training a little bit? Was there a lack of commitment or concentration? When they conceded and lost their first game, by the way, to Crystal Palace 2-1, he never, without saying who it was, he very heavily implied that Frimpong or someone at the back post fell asleep and that's why they lost the game. So he's not been afraid to actually call out certain elements at times. And actually, when he's spoken about the Liverpool team this season, we're facing more long balls, we're facing different styles of play. Man United pulled Sesko out the 11, we were expecting him to start. I actually think there's been a communication issue with Arne Slot. Now, I'm talking via the media, to be fair, but if that's translating anything like what we've seen in front of the media behind the scenes, then I can actually see why there would have been a bit of a communication breakdown in the way Mo Salah might just not be agreeing with some of the decisions, but also some of the way it's been communicated. And look, I'm speculating massively, I will say that. But I haven't loved this communication throughout the season, to be fair.
No, that's a really good point. I'm not saying Arne Slot is completely beyond reproach. All I'm saying is last season, we're looking at a relationship between manager, who's a brand new onto the league last season, and potentially Mohamed Salah's greatest ever single season as an individual footballer. Maybe it's the first season when he first came in and broke the Premier League goal scoring record. Some people could definitely argue the last season it was peak Mohamed Salah. He won them the league title. That's down to Arne Slot. Arne Slot kind of built the side around him. Arne Slot limited other players and even moved other players on, like the likes of Diaz and maybe Nunes, kept Salah in there. They broke the structure to give him that bumper contract. So this kind of idea that suddenly he's been thrown under the bus, which is another quote that we were going to mention, it's a crazy hyperbolic way of talking about a football club that's rewarded you with loyalty and started you a lot. He started a lot of football matches this season.
Yeah, and it's also one of those where it's a big explosive statement, but it actually doesn't even tell us too much. Who's thrown you under the bus? Who's the person that you think doesn't want you there? You've mentioned the breakdown of communication with Arne Slot. You talk about promises, but was he promised you're going to start every game this season? I mean, I can't imagine that was a promise, because who wants to, tie the manager's hands like that? So it's one of those where he said a lot, but I'm also kind of wanting more. But that's also not the right thing to even... He's kind of said too much already to a degree. The broken promises thing I find strange. They've gone big in the transfer market. So were you talking about ambition? They've shown that ambition. Is it just that they didn't bring in Mark Gehi, or you're expecting a little bit more from that? What is it? I'm not sure. Are you talking about particular minutes? Are you talking about particular style of play? The communication issue with Slot, it's interesting. He's come out and said that when they won the title last season, Slot told him not to worry too much about defending because we want the output. So maybe there's a flip this season. We need a little bit more defensively from you, Salah. And he's saying, well, that's not what worked a year ago. Again, so much speculation, but it's because he's left just enough there for all of us to speculate and try fill in the gaps. The reality is we don't know who's made these promises and we don't know which ones he thinks have been broken.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think I basically don't defend him on a level. I think it's absolutely egregious. And when Cristiano Ronaldo came out and talked to Piers Morgan, we've seen Lukaku talking about Chelsea to Sky Italia. Ronaldo's maybe the second greatest footballer in the history of the sport. Mohamed Salah's not even top 30, top 40, top 50. There are real icons of football. Ronaldo is one of them. When he came out and slagged off the likes of Manchester United with Piers Morgan, that was utterly disgraceful. And he's Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he's 100 times bigger than Mohamed Salah in the kind of the respect kind of category in football. Mohamed Salah, who does he think he is? He's getting paid a massive amount of money. A question to you. What's he trying to achieve? It's tricky.
This is so difficult because you could argue that it's a pick me or Slot. There's pressure on the manager. Is there a degree of engineering a particular outcome he wants there? Now, I don't think that's what it is. That would be very cynical. I don't think that's what he's necessarily trying to do. I think he maybe is just someone who wants to say what he thinks. It's not the first time.
But why now? He's come out 3 times in the last 3 or 4 years. He's come out a few times. Obviously, Jamie Carragher talked about it. He went back at Carragher, obviously, in these comments as well, saying that Carragher's going to talk about him. That's the one side, by the way, where I would defend Mohamed Salah. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. I think Carragher can put a little bit of pressure on people. Look at Konate. I know he's been really poor. Obviously, gave away that penalty against Leeds United as well on Gnotto. So ultimately, I think Mohamed Salah is okay in that regard. I think he is coming out and defending himself against Jamie Carragher. But when he talks about the club, it makes me think he's angling for a move in January.
You mentioned the Ronaldo interview. With Ronaldo, it felt like more of a real dig at the club in the sense of the facilities, how little it's grown since the time I was there before. Mo Salah, to be fair, hasn't really been critical of necessarily the club or his teammates. Well, he has a little bit because he sort of said, I've earned the right to be in the team and all that. But I think what he's more trying to say is there were promises. I don't feel like I'm the problem. I feel like I'm being scapegoated. I think he's trying to make it about himself rather than about Liverpool per se. Whereas I think Ronaldo was sort of saying, I've come back and I'm unimpressed. Like, this just isn't to the standard. So it does feel less personal on the Salah side, if that makes sense. It's probably just more directed at his situation, how he feels. And like we said, some people have manoeuvred this as very calculated from Salah. But for me, I do wonder whether this was just a bit of a spur of the moment thing.
And that's
I'm
wrong.
mad.
That's wrong.
My team have drawn. I'm coming out the change. I'm in the mix zone. And I mean, no, I honestly mean no disrespect to the reporters when I say this, but this wasn't like this wasn't the Liverpool Echo. This wasn't Sky Sports or BBC or even appears more. There wasn't a particular platform where he moved to get that particular.
What, Norwegian TV?
Interview.
Norwegian news?
Maybe it was that. I don't know.
Yeah,
It feels like a little bit of a let me come out. And I just got things to say.
But I think Carragher can be cynical about that, and rightfully so. Why has he come out now? And he's put Liverpool in a position. How are Liverpool having to drop this guy? He's not playing against Inter Milan, not even involved in any of the pre-match. He won't warm up. He's not even gone to Italy for the away game. This is Liverpool Football Club. They're paying him an extortionate amount of football, and suddenly this asset. And by the way, he's only been benched 3 games. He's come on for a couple of those games. Didn't come on against Leeds United. What if Liverpool 1-0 down in the Champions League, a competition they've won 6 times, a competition that he's helped them win most recently, and they're 1-0 down, someone gets injured, and Salah needs to come on the right wing. They can't play their star asset that they're given a massive contract to because he's come out and been completely reprehensible in his actions. And he's a 33-year-old guy. It'd be wrong if he was 23 years old. Who does he think he is?
What if he feels, this is, again, just speculation, just an idea. What if he feels that the club have wanted this for a little while? And maybe they never wanted to give the massive contract.
Isn't that what the money's for? If I give you a 3-year contract with 500 grand and you're a big footballer, isn't that what the money's for? To be respectful to the contract. See, if he had a broken leg and there's no chance he could play against Leeds United because he had a broken leg, he'd still get paid.
No, I hear that, but I just wonder, again, this is just speculation, but maybe he feels that the club, I don't know, maybe the club never wanted to give the contract out. Maybe there was a pressure from the fans that the season you just given, you've got to keep Mo Salah. Maybe there was interest that they felt, you know what, we can get 70, 80, 100 million pounds for this guy. And maybe in signing Isak and signing Wirtz and spending a unprecedented amount of money this summer, they've just felt that, you know what, if his performances drop, the interest is there. We'd actually take the money on a player who's probably not going to get better than what we saw a year ago.
Yeah.
Now, that's just speculation, but if he feels that in any way, I'm being scapegoated, I'm the easy way out, I'm the biggest asset you can sell, then maybe that's why he's getting ahead of it. Again, pure speculation.
No, I get it.
I just wonder, there's so many angles to play. Football's a business, as well as it's about winning games or whatever. There are businessmen who are thinking about the financials and are thinking about the bigger business of football. I just wonder.
Those people that you refer to who make the decisions that are the macro decisions for Liverpool Football Club, for example, are they looking at this as a battle between Mohamed Salah and Arne Slot? Because for me, when I actually take a bird's eye view, I don't think Arne Slot is a genius level manager. I think he's got the ability to turn things around, and he's got the ability to win another Premier League title if he stays there and he gets things right. I don't know about the Champions League. I don't know about trebles, domestic trebles, whatever. I don't know if he's Guardiola, if he's Luis Enrique. I'm not sure about his quality in that regard. He could certainly win another league title is what I'm trying to say. Therefore, the future of Liverpool Football Club is in sturdier hands with Arne Slot than Mohamed Salah, who's 33, 34, 35 years old. So actually, he's kind of... I don't think he wins this battle against Arne Slot.
I think he might. And this is the other angle. For all the speculating I've done, this is the other thing. You know, you could just say this is a guy who's been at Liverpool for so long. He's spoken in these quotes about how much he loves Liverpool, how much he's given to the club, saying he's going to enjoy that game against Brighton because it might be his last one at Anfield, all that. He loves the club and has given so much to it. Is there a sense of, no, I love the club and I want what's best for it, and I'm going to call it out because I'm not loving what's going on behind the scenes. And if I've got a chance to call it out and fix it and be here at the end of it all, that might be the angle he wants too. So there's so many different ways you can interpret all this and try and guess what's potentially happening. Now, on Arne Slot, I agree with you. I don't think this is like elite, top level. I don't think this is Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Luis Enrique as well, the other managers we speak of. And because of that, I think they might have a bit of a decision. Like, they have to look at what's going on behind the scenes. So many players' levels have dropped considerably. And a lot of people say, well, the players got to take responsibility. I think when it's that collective a drop, there's something going on behind the scenes. And it more often than not stems back to the manager.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Question then, this time next year, we're going into 2027 this time next year.
Yeah.
Is Arne Slot the Liverpool manager this time next year?
No.
Is Mohamed Salah one of the great Liverpool players of all time, still on his Liverpool contract, not playing in Saudi Arabia or the MLS this time next year?
No, I think
they're both gone.
I think they're both gone.
Who goes first?
I think Slot.
Do you think? Okay. Do you think they
first.
go? Do you think they survive the season? Do you think Salah leaves in January? I don't think Salah leaves in January. I think Arne Slot stays to the end of the season. That's how I see it. But I do agree with you. I think this time next year they both could be gone.
Yeah,
That's how I see it.
I think a summer move for Salah. I think he'll want to leave properly. I don't think this is how he'd want it to all.
But in January?
No, it feels too soon.
Yeah.
We are still talking about a Premier League great, someone whose numbers last season were off the charts. I've never seen an individual campaign like it. I think he'll see out the season, and I don't think Arne Slot will. And I don't think Arne Slot will get sacked anytime soon, only because it will look like they've picked Salah, and that is not the impression Liverpool want to go out to the public or to any manager or anything like that. So I think both will last a little bit. He'll go to AFCON. They'll try to sort this out behind the scenes, whatever. Arne Slot ultimately will lose his job because the performances have been shocking. Because him as a manager, he is beyond under-delivered this season. Credit for the Premier League title. He didn't just pick up a Klopp side and go win it. It wasn't that. He did more and he deserves credit for it. But I don't think he survives the season. Salah will get to the summer. He'll probably end in some good form and he'll leave with the love of...
I think that's a great shout.